On Team Canada jersey. Why do I have the Team Canada jersey on? You got to know because I got Olympic men's head coach for Team Canada. Here he's coming right now, the one and only Mr. Derek Ingram. And look at him right there, wearing Canadian red just like me.
How are you, Doug?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me perfectly? Or?
I hear you just perfect. That's awesome.
Love it.
That's fantastic. So you are an Instagram Live rookie.
I am thrilled to be on. I'm so pumped up. My social media presence sometimes is just painful, and I know you do an unreal job. So yeah, thrilled to be here.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this, right? Because I've had a lot of really cool success with this COVID chat thing, and because Derek Ingram joined Instagram just for this. He's a legend on Twitter. There you go. No, he actually has Instagram, Brad. But the really cool part about this was I was thinking about, I want to try and go so wide with this because I've had some amazing people on, and everybody from Mike Grange, who's a reporter with the Raptors, and
super cool.
I had Victor Perez's agent, Joe Shushat, on, and so I thought, what a cool opportunity to get you on. And I mean, we've only had a few opportunities to really chat and get to know each other a bit. So it's kind of like a social media thing on how we know each other.
Yeah.
But the really cool part is I was thinking, man, it's not very often that you get to ask an Olympic coach what it was like to be at the Olympics. Because I mean, golf in the Olympics, the very first year you get to go, and it's like, holy moly. Like, not to mention, okay, I thought the mosquitoes were bad in Winnipeg. The mosquitoes in Brazil can kill you. But, were there any trepidations going down to Brazil, like with regards to how many health things did you guys have to cover before you went down?
Yeah, no, couple of shots before I went down, but honestly, there was no concerns whatsoever. I went 6 or 7 months early to check out the golf course with Tristan. Cool. And that was kind of a cool trip just to see the golf course and familiarize myself with Brazil and Rio. And obviously some places in Rio you don't want to go to alone. It's a country we're not near as fortunate as in Canada, but that was really cool. And the course was unreal. And the Olympics itself was one of the best experiences of my life. I mean, it was to come back out after over 100 years and to be the coach there and be there with Graham and David. It was pretty sick.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things I thought was really cool is that, after 100 years, you guys get to be a part of that inaugural back, and the course they made.
Yeah, unreal.
Amazing in such a short time.
Yeah. And
it was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, just a phenomenal experience for everybody, right?
Yeah, unreal golf course to design. It was Gil Hoff's design, and just kind of a link style golf course, but really beautifully done. And it was an unreal test, and they didn't play it as long as they could have.
Oh, really?
It was actually kind of funny playing one of the practice rounds. I was with David and Graham, and I think it was the 11th or 12th hole. It's probably 500 or 520, a par 4, narrow and long. And I'm at the back tee box, and Hearn's like, no, we're not going back there. We won't see this for sure during the tournament. I'm not even hitting the ball from back there. And I started to laugh, thinking, well, geez, I thought, they might play it long. And at that point, I hadn't been to a ton of PGA Tour events. I was starting to go to more and more. But now I understand what Dave was, where he's coming from.
That's very cool. I mean, you're learning. And I mean, just on that point,
For sure.
You're now getting a little bit more out on tour and seeing a little bit more. And I mean, it's a really interesting broad spectrum, your role as head coach, because it dips into so many different areas, right? From the young guys to the veterans to the people that are asking you for your guidance,
mm-hmm.
And it's not just the guys on Team Canada, right? It's a really interesting, it's really interesting to see how your rise of knowledge in terms of being called upon has really, really escalated.
Yeah, I know things have gotten out of hand or gotten in hand, I guess you could say. I one time I was coaching our junior guys team and our amateur team, and now we've got Robert taking care of our junior boys and girls program and doing a wonderful job. He's a little bit of a a quiet leader that not many people know about, but does an unreal job. And so now I coach our amateur team, our young pro squad. And out of that, I've got opportunities that I never dreamed I'd have. And honestly, I'm not even sure I wanted them, Doug. I mean, I wanted to help players get to the PGA Tour, but it wasn't a goal of mine to coach PGA Tour players or to cherry pick guys on the PGA Tour. I just wanted to help my guys get there. And when they got there, they're like, oh, well, we'd like you to keep coaching now. I mean, why would I stop? And so it kind of fell into my lap with Mackenzie first and then with Corey.
Yeah.
And, it just kind of, and I was like, well, yeah, I'll ask Golf Canada if I can help you out as long as it doesn't affect my job. And I've been super fortunate from that standpoint that they allow me to go, to a bunch of PGA Tour events and then share that with guys in our young pro squad and our amateur team. So I also coach Aaron Cockrell on the European Tour. So,
well, I mean, actually, you're touching on a really interesting point. I actually think Golf Canada was very smart to let you go to do this. Yeah. Only from the standpoint is you are now almost the student because you're gaining so much more knowledge that's going to come back to the young pro squad and the men's team. And
for sure.
Like, now all of a sudden this wealth of knowledge that you're bringing is just, oh my gosh, it's tenfold and means so much more, right?
Well, for sure. And, as you know, Doug, as a coach, we never stop learning. The older we get, the more we're like, oh, geez, I got to learn more. And it's funny, the more I get a little bit older and people start to look at me as like such a super knowledgeable coach, the more I also look in the mirror and go, geez, Derek, there's so much, you have to get so much better and have to learn so much more. So sometimes when I have a break, when I'm at a PGA Tour event, I'll go and watch one of the best players in the world, how they're practicing their putting or their short game, or I want to see what they're doing with their full swing, or I'll pick brains of other coaches that are on tour, some of the best guys that I think, like a Jeff Leishman is a guy I really respect. And
who's on this call? He's actually watching you.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I don't know how this works, but there's guys like Jeff and John Graham and others, Ralph and the list goes on, Sean Foley, that I like to, I like to spend time with. Jeff particular, I love going for dinner with or having a Coke with, or same with John Graham. You notice how I said Coke there, Doug, but anyway.
Yes.
So it has been.
Oh, no, it's all non-alcoholic. Totally, dude. Totally.
Yeah. So it has been good to share that stuff with guys in our young pro squad, and quite frankly, a guy like Taylor Pendrith, he's going to be on the PGA Tour, and he's going to win multiple times out there. And Taylor Pendrith and Stuart McDonald, there's other guys who are going to get there, and they're going to benefit from my experiences being there and the stuff that we're learning. Corey Mack and myself.
Well, I mean, this now is just moving me right into some of my questions here, because one of the things is when we talked about 4 years ago. At dinner, I was like, so, how do you balance? Because at the time you were actually the director of golf. You were at director of golf at your course. Yeah. You had a young family. You were the head men's coach, and you were like, I was like, dude, how can you be so busy? And like, you were talking about like in the morning who you called just to check in on their tournaments, and in the evening what your day was like. And I was like, when do you have time for your family? And it was like, oh my goodness. And I think now, being a head teaching pro, you're a little bit more flex. But how has this role shaped your professional career so that you now prioritize? Are you better at it now? And are you more efficient?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if I'm more efficient. I'm trying to get more efficient, and I'm trying to learn, to have better habits that allow me to do my job better. What I've done is I don't do a ton. I'm the head teaching professional at Elmhurst, but I'm not there very often. I'm almost never there. And, I'm really focused on our national amateur team, our young pro squad. And then I spend some time with the guys in the PGA Tour. So when I am home, I mean, communication is so key for me. Like, I will talk to my players virtually every single day. And they're not my players. I mean, they're just players that I'm fortunate enough to coach.
No, you have a sense of ownership with that. They're your players because you're the head coach. I get it. We all use that reference, right? They're my players. Like, it's funny. I'll talk and say, my kids were doing really well the other day and all this stuff. Oh, and they're like, oh, your kids play golf. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about my kids I coach, right? Like, yeah. So we all totally understand where that's coming from.
Yeah, I sometimes hate when I say that because, I believe that, the credits for all those players that I coach, and I'm just fortunate enough to be there leading them or even supporting them. So they're not my players, they're people I help. But anyway, I think the big thing is I've got very good communication skills. I really care about people, and so I'm very interested, and it's nothing for me to be up super early going over their stats or sending them a message or chatting with them and trying to help them with their game. If they're playing great, give them a message, keep doing this or that, or I noticed this in your stats. And sometimes it's just hey, how are you making out? And so just being a very good communicator and caring is one of the big things that the person I think makes a big difference.
Well, this is a resounding theme that I hear with all these coaches that I get on here and get to talk with.
Yeah.
Is the relationships and communication that we have with these players, whether they're professionals, young pros, aspiring pros, juniors. It's that communication and the relationships we have that make it the difference. Those are really the difference maker that is in the reason why we coach, right? Because those relationships are so key. And you know what? Making those calls on the daily, it's like, it's not just because it's your job, it's because you care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I would do it for nothing. I'm fortunate that people pay me to do it, but yes. Quite honestly, and no one really started to pay me until recently.
Well,
but anyway,
did your wife just hear you say that?
Well, that's what my wife used to say. Geez, you do this for free, and you are doing it for free. But anyway, just recently people have started to pay me for it because maybe I've gotten a little bit better, or they realize I care. We're starting to get some great results, but certainly people don't care what you know until they know that you care. I really believe that, and so.
Ooh, there's a great quote. People don't know.
No, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And I've tried to live my life by that quote for the last 15 or 20 years. Wow. And I know we're in it's really been the fundamental theme for who I am as a person, as a coach. People don't care what I know until they know that I care. And so I invest a lot of time in relationship building because, fixing, whether they're extended at the top of the swing or whether inflection, whether they're extension, where they, if they're very vertical at the top of the swing and they're really flat, if they rotate a ton, or if they hang back, stall, and flip. People have got it done in so many different ways.
Right.
And successfully too, won majors in different ways. So that's important, but it's not a knowledge arms race. It's really, and if it is, nobody's going to probably win it. What it is it's a connection with an athlete. How can you help them get better?
So you know what? To that point, I'm going to roll right into Corey Connors, because there's a great example. Golf swing is not anything conventional whatsoever. People look at that and they go, whoa, okay, like that does not suit my eye in terms of what everybody would compare to like a Adam Scott Tiger, those kind of things, right? The kid can golf his ball like nobody's business. Yeah. He hits it a mile. Yeah. And he's taking up residence in Flushville because it's like he is just that good. Yeah. What sets him apart? He is such a cool cat. Like I met him firsthand. But he's got such a wonderful personality. He's from up in Listowel. Right. And I met him, and it's like he's so nice. Yeah. And he's Canadian, but I mean, he's just got such a great demeanor. What is it that sets him apart from all these other guys?
I think the big thing is, his work ethic and habits, Doug, are as good as anyone's I've ever seen in my life. So in terms of being a guy who's organized, professional, he's got unreal habits in every area of his life, and he works, is exceptional. So put that aside. The swing is got some of the best rhythm and tempo of anyone who's ever played the game. I'd put him in the Fred Couples, Ernie Els. So yeah, but technically, there's a teeny bit of, hang back and a little bit of a flip. But well, the thing is, we test and test and test, and he's so good. I'm not going to change somebody to make me feel better and make them worse, or to make me look more important to make them worse. He's top 10 in the world in greens and regulation, in driving, strokes gain driving, and strokes gain approach. those guys tend to win a lot of money and have a really long career on the PGA Tour.
I mean, you're making a really great point, and coaches out there that are listening to this, like, we're talking about a men's national team coach here who gets the best of the best, who are coming from other coaches that he may not have he may not be putting his hands on their swings when they come to him. But the really cool part here, people, and this is the differentiator, is listen to what he's saying. I'm not going to change something where the numbers are telling me this guy's in the top 10 in the world in these stats, and he's going to be making a lot of money. It takes an art to do this. How long has it taken you to really get good about whether you change a technical aspect or you work with the player to make them understand where their areas need to get better?
Yeah. Another really good question. I think as I've gotten more and more experience, and I gotten a little older and a little more confident, I've had the opportunity to just not go right in there the first time I meet somebody and show them how smart I am, and just change everything just because I want to make a little bit prettier, or I want to be a little bit more conventional. Mm-hmm. If you look at the players that I coach that have had success, and I work on every aspect of their game and their technique. I mean, Corey hits a draw almost exclusively. If he hits 2 shots in a row that don't draw, I get a phone call or a text that man did it. And Mac Hughes hits a really hard cut. And Taylor works a little bit both ways. If you look at, Mac's kind of, he's got his left arm kind of really, deep and around. And if you look at Corey and Taylor, they seem to have that left arm a little more, especially Taylor, really quite vertical. And so I'm not trying to make everyone look the same. I'm trying to make them perform to the max of their ability under pressure when it counts. That's really what we're after.
So here's an interesting question that I didn't send you that it just occurred to me.
Yeah.
You just mentioned 3 players: Taylor, Mackenzie, and Corey.
Yeah.
Okay. The 3 common elements that all these 3 guys, they all went to Kent State.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, super interesting.
Very interesting that all these guys went to Kent State, and all are now 2 are on the PGA Tour full time, and the 1 is going to be there. No,
for sure. Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to take my juniors to Kent State and practice at the facility.
Yeah, I saw that.
Herb and John.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that from this small little university that this talent gets turned out. And kudos to Herb, Page, and John for the work that they've done.
For sure.
Right? And
they don't blow guys up there. They
Right.
don't blow guys up. They work real hard in the gym. They develop pretty good habits. They work them extremely hard. They play great schedule. They play hard golf courses. They do a lot of the right things. And they're good people. I mean, John is an unreal guy. He's going to be a superstar in the coaching world. And
Right.
Herb, his record is unmatched. It's unparalleled. Herb's record's almost. So now that he's retired, he can.
Legendary stuff. So I just had a question come across from a young junior, and he says, "What's the differentiator between?" Okay, what's the differentiator between the top 1% amateur and the professional? What is the differentiator there that makes the difference?
Yeah, well, it's such a fine line between a top amateur. If you take a person who's in the top 50 in the world or top 100 in the world amateur rankings, they are in all, they're so close to being a PGA Tour player, it's unreal. So it could be just a little more experience. It could be just a teeny bit better control. It could be just putting just a little bit better. As I say to my guys, is we're trying to get 0.5% better every year or 0.25% better over the course of a long period of time, and we know we're going to get there. But the best amateur players in the world are really, really good, and you could drop them right on a PGA Tour event, and they could have top 10s or top 20s. They're that good. They may not win because they don't know the courses quite as well, or maybe they're maybe not quite comfortable out there. But the top 100 amateurs in the world, they are really, really good. And so that's why we're looking at fine lines and trying to get 0.25% better a year or 0.5% better. And each puzzle is different, Doug. Some guys need to, when Mac Hughes got in our amateur team, he had a ball speed of, a clubhead speed of 105 or 106. You want a couple Canadian amateurs with a 105 or 106 clubhead speed.
Wow.
And now he's, we talked yesterday, he's working with the super speeds and trying to get to 120 is his goal in this right now. He's at 117, 118, 116, 117. And he's like, yeah, my goal, in the next month, at month and a half, is to get to 120. So,
well, he has the time.
What's that?
He has the time to do that.
That's right. So everybody's puzzle looks a little bit different on what they need to do.
And I think that's a really great point. The box. No, not everybody fits in the box.
Yeah.
Right. And it takes an art of a coach and someone who's, I mean, you've been with Team Canada for almost 16 years now, right?
It seems like a long time. I've never added it up, Doug. So that almost floored me. But
you've been there for almost 16 years. I think this is the 16th year that you've been there because I did a little research, right? So
that means it's time to get fired soon.
Unbelievable. But the really cool part is you as a coach have developed so much. In 16 years, we've seen such technical advances. I mean, it's just unbelievable. We've seen so many things different. Yeah. So what is Derek Ingram's must-have to help him for his players? What is it? What's the must-have you need to help your players? And I know it's all different puzzle pieces, but what do you think is the must-have that you need?
Well, when you asked that question, I wasn't sure where you were going. I wasn't sure if it was from a technology standpoint, because obviously, I love my foresight and TrackMan. I love those numbers, and I love video.
Okay, so that's from a technical standpoint. Yeah. What is a must-have?
Well, I like a foresight and a TrackMan for full swing. I use a body track. I want to know how somebody interacts with the ground when they're swinging. Those are really important. I like a K-vest or some sort of 3D information. I like to gather a ton of information.
So do you actually search? So like in my case, if I need somebody 3D mapped or do something like that, I'll go find somebody with the system and get them to do it rather than invest it for myself. Yeah. Do you have who's your go-to for 3D mapping for you if you need to take somebody, or do you guys do it with Team Canada?
Yeah, we do it ourselves, with the K-Vest. And if I feel, we use Liam Mucklow as a resource and other guys in the industry who and our physiotherapist and strength and conditioning coach, Greg Redmond, is, knows the body better than just about anybody. And he's been with us for a long time. And so I like to do it ourselves with, we have used Liam, we have used the AMM system, and there's so many great tools now, but I like some 3D knowledge. I like some 3D information. I like to take it myself. Sometimes I don't even share it with athletes. I like to take it myself and look, and I like to deliver the message because we're looking for, to me, what defines not a person who finds 10 things wrong, but the person who's able to find the top thing that'll have the greatest impact on somebody's game.
That's a great point. That's an extremely great point. Coaches, you are listening. It's not always finding all the, what are all the massive things that are going wrong with this player. What's going to have the biggest effect on this player if you fix it right now? Yeah. And it takes a very well-honed individual who knows what they're doing to be able to find that. But it's just about working through these things. We're all going to make mistakes.
For sure. And it's okay to make mistakes, Doug. If I don't know if we have time for it, but I got a story about.
We got an hour, so we still got lots of time.
Okay, well, I got a story, a quick story about Corey Connors. It's kind of cool to talk about Corey because he's on the PGA Tour, but it could be some amateur player or junior player. But I'll use Corey as an example. About a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago, he was playing really well. His first year in the PGA Tour, we made a change, just a small change in his technique, trying to get the pressure more in his back foot, in his backswing, a little more pressure back before we started to get it into the golf ball, moving towards the target to his lead leg. And we recognized with body track, he was kind of staying over the golf ball and staying on top of it. And we're like, if we get the pressure back, we're going to get it through. We're going to hit it way better. So we did that, and it made a really nice effect. Like, he just started hitting it better and better, further, straighter, and he was already good. And he had a couple of really nice tournaments. I think he had he was leading going into Valspar, finished 14th, but he started having some and hitting it really good. And he's like, I'm hitting it so good. And then I fell in love with being a real cool guy and really smart guy. And I was like, oh, well, if we can do that, maybe we can do this. No. And then we can do this and this. And I started getting in a couple other things on my wish list that I thought would help make Corey even better, and it was great, because we tried it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and some of those things made a huge impact, but it was tough to really nail down and sustain. And some of them, he's like, that didn't feel that good. But finally, we have this great relationship where he just said, Derek, I think we just gone too far. And I was like, you're 100% right. We did one thing that made a really big difference, and you're hitting it great. And then I got greedy, and we got greedy together.
Okay.
But it was really me, honestly. But Corey had the confidence to just say, hey, I think we're off on this, and I think what we're doing was better. And if we keep doing that, we're going to be great. And I was like, I was wrong, and I agree with you 100%. And that's one of the things we've done. We've made other changes that have helped them hit it better and better. But I've made mistakes, and I've learned from them. And I think one of the big mistakes is sometimes I try and make too many changes that will make a player worse instead of better.
Right. Do you ever recommend that they try cauliflower?
I'm sorry.
I was told that you're like quite the cauliflower aficionado, and that you're supposed to give me some tips on like how to make cauliflower pizza.
Oh, that's great. I don't know who this is a classic. I don't know who that came up with, but someone made me try I think it was Taylor Pendrith actually made me try the cauliflower pizza crust at one point. And I was like, wow, that's unreal. I can't believe how good it was. But then I, again, probably went a little too far with it. But no. I'd love to know where you got that, Doug.
I'm sworn to secrecy. Hey, part of my deal is I do a little bit of digging, a little bit of homework. It's totally okay. Cool. I'll let you know maybe a little bit after. There you
Love
go.
it.
Okay, so here's a really interesting question. Okay, so we kind of touched on it a little bit. You get kids, you get athletes that have coaches, coaches that have brought them along, coaches that have brought them to the promised land. They've made Team Canada, right? Yeah. And this is a very slippery slope because often the coach that brings them there has a good relationship with their student, and I mean, a sense of pride to be chosen to go play.
For sure.
One of these things is I always thought about it is like it would be a very cool thing to have one of my kids playing on Team Canada, but you have to almost be able to say, hey, they're playing for the best guys who are like you always get into this ego struggle of well, they don't know your swing like I do. So how can they tell you this stuff, right? Where it goes way beyond just the swing and helping this player. It's about making them a better player. Yeah. How have you guys been able to really, because I'm sure you guys get a little bit of bouncing off each other. What's the best strategy to help, how do you broach that or bridge that? Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't had a ton of issue with that. And I think it's because I look at my role is to get really, really good results and not take the credit for it. That's, if I could define my job, is my job. Yeah, I keep a job, and I've said this to players for many years now. I keep a job or lose a job based on getting really, really good results. But, I don't, my job's not to take the credit for it. That's what the player's for. And if their personal coach wants that, that's great as well. So in that, and in some cases, we get players who have, anywhere, a wide range, unbelievable personal coaches to guys that really need a lot of work as well. And in the middle. And I will work with the personal coach and the player as much as they want. If they wanted me to be fully in and work with them a ton, I am. If they want me to just, work with the player and the player will communicate with the personal coach, that works as well. And honestly, Doug, I think I mentioned this, but I got a lot of players with no personal coaches or somebody, good mentors, who are actually okay passing them along and saying,
right,
it's time to pass you along. That doesn't mean that person won't be the most important person in their life for a long, long time. They'll always be a friend and a mentor who help them get to the next level. And I think in hockey or in other sports, we're okay passing athletes on. It's just golf we seem to be, and I get it. I get it. That's why I try and be, I try and be not a guy who needs to get pats on the back, but really just do the job because I love to do the job.
Well, you know what? I see that. And one of the things that I loved your answer there, because it really does, golf is very different in this respect. And the one thing we have to realize as coaches is, oh my gosh, you've gotten this player to Team Canada. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, dude, enjoy that. All right. And like, yes, the one thing you're going to have is this relationship with this player forever.
Yes.
And that's not going away. It's not
No.
like you guys are saying, oh, don't listen to them, all that stuff. And the really funny part about this is that people need to check their egos a lot more on this, because your jobs are to make these guys even better. And that's why you guys are in the roles that you're in. And it's the really cool part that you said, you are all about the communication. And I know that you're going to be communicating. If there's anything, you're going to call that coach and you say, hey, look, you know what? Can you give me some insight on this? Or, hey, listen, maybe you might want to have a talk with blah, 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 because, hey, we were noticing this. It all comes down to the communication. I think what people get is this ideal that once you make Team Canada, you're like, they're ours, go away.
Yeah. No, it's not like that. And, you know, certainly I've had great relationships with personal coaches, and we've had a ton of success together. And, you know, guys like Daniel Langevin and Fred Coughlin, and, you know, Ralph's put a couple of players on our net.
Ralph, yeah.
I'm just trying to think of some of the other guys who've just done it. There's so many guys who've done an unreal job, Rob Holding and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and there will be more. Those guys are what I would consider hotbeds. They're guys who do the right thing, have done the right thing for a long period of time. And you're one, Doug. I don't need to pump your tires, but I've always felt this and told you, you're one of these guys who's got a hotbed, and in Canada has done an unreal job. So my job, I'm really like a 10% expert or a 5% expert. I take guys the last 5 or 10%. That's what I kind of consider myself. And if you said, Derek, what's more important? I'd say probably that first 90.
Nice. No, you're bang on. And that's a really cool part. It takes a lot of humility to be able to say, hey, look, my role is this. And you know what? If it, at the same time, you might also have difficult conversations with these players where I'm sure you've had to say, it's not working out. Yeah. Or, you know, like unfortunately, you need to go do something on your own, because it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
No, buck stops with me. Don't get results, lose a job. Get results, keep a job. So all I care about is the athlete. And, you know, that's the honest truth. I care about the athlete. My job is to help them get to the next level. And, you know, touch wood, I've been fortunate enough to do it in a few instances to keep enough people fooled.
So I meant to ask you, you went to Brazil. Did you work on any of your Portuguese?
No, I'm embarrassed to say. If well, I know the last part of that. Thank you, if you please. But no, but if there's a language I'd love to learn, it would be Spanish, because I think if you learn Spanish, you can understand Portuguese pretty well, and you could get by better than I do with my limited French. And so, no. So I didn't. I have also been to Japan 11 times, and all I really know is Domo Arigato and Asahi.
I can quote Styx for that one. Domo Arigato, Mr. Arigato. That's about
great tune, eh?
Right? Exactly. Yes. Oh, thank you. No, it's funny. I've been to Portugal 4 times, right? So it's like the Portuguese kind of the most important word is casa de banho, which is bathroom in Portuguese, which is like precisa de casa de banho. It's like I need a bathroom, right?
Impressive.
Very. Anyways, all right. My favorite topic is my Fast 5. You don't know what's coming. I got 5 questions. You got to answer them truthfully and as best as you can.
Love it.
All right. You're playing a match on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf, because you were a little bit of a player back in the day. All right. Who's your opponent, and why would they be your opponent? Who would you want?
Wow. Let's see. Who I'd like to take on would be my old rival from Manitoba, who I played a bunch of times, and he's a head pro and director of golf at Royal Montreal. I want to take on Scott Dixon.
Scott Hickson. Wow. Scott Hickson.
Because Scotty was the head pro.
Scott McLeod said Knudsen. I thought that would have been cool, Knudsen. But yes, that went right.
Scott Dixon was the head pro at Niagara before he went to he was at, I believe, Shaughnessy, and then Mississauga. No, maybe he wasn't at Shaughnessy, but yeah, maybe it wasn't. Then Mississauga, and now Royal Montreal. And you know, when he's a really good player and a very good teacher. And when I used to play a lot more, I love to compete. I love to play. We play against Scott a lot and had some great matches. And he was a good player and a real grinder. So Scott Dixon.
Where would you like to play the match?
Never played Augusta National. Been on the golf course.
Awesome.
You know, probably 15 or 20 times with both Corey and Mac. that would be the one place I'd do anything to take my own clubs. I'm always with those guys walking
Yeah.
around, and it's still a thrill to do that. But playing at Augusta National, carrying my bag, nothing would make me happier.
Awesome. That's so cool. If you weren't a golf coach, what would you be?
Well, I might be a hockey coach because I love hockey and I love the Winnipeg Jets, and
There you go.
I love the game. But I may be a professional hockey coach. But I think the other thing I might be is I'm interested in stocks and companies and businesses and how they make money and lose money in the stock market a little bit. So I have a bit of a closet interest there as well. So
you're working overtime in that right now.
What's that?
With the stock market,
yeah,
you're working overtime.
For sure.
All right, who's Derek Ingram's hero?
Well, in a personal thing, it would probably be my dad. I really looked up to my dad. He's very old school. He's 86 years old, and he's extremely hard worker. And he was really hard on me, which I probably needed, and really pushed me. So if it's in life, it'd probably be my dad.
That's awesome. That's good. Dad seems to get the people have asked this question. Dad seems to be the more often than not the one that comes through. All right, finish this sentence. The Olympics were
the opportunity of a lifetime and one of the most important events that I've been fortunate enough to coach at.
Fantastic answer. All right. A little different twist on my favorite question, but if they made a movie about Derek Ingram's life, what would the title be?
Wow. How to get blood out of a stone? How to get,
Love it. That's great. Derek Ingram story. How to get blood out of a stone. There you go.
Oh, I look at myself as a guy who it's never been easy for. It's never been handed to me. And I've always had to work for everything I've gotten. And I would say that, I've had to work extremely hard and study really hard and do a lot of different things, a lot of crazy things, and spend a lot of money to acquire knowledge that I thought would help further my career. So, I would say that's kind of the one. I've gotten a lot out of kind of what I started with, I'd say.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. That's so cool. All right, so those are great answers, by the way. I love those. Those are great. I love coming up with some good ones here. Notice I didn't ask you about Wonder Bars or chocolate covered almonds.
Wunderbar! Best commercial ever.
The Vikings eating the Wunderbar.
And it is. Let's get this out of the way. It's the best chocolate bar there ever has been made. So let's just move aside from that.
Hey, caramel butter chocolate. Why not, right?
Yeah, and exactly. And then chocolate covered almonds from Costco. The big bag. Doug,
yes.
I've been known to go through one of those in a day or two when I'm home. So, yeah.
Pretty good, dude. That's pretty awesome. I don't need that much sugar. Anyway, so one of the really cool parts, and I have colleagues across the globe and in junior golf, and one of the really cool things that I am so very proud about is Canada's long-term player development plan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like we are industry leading, and what's really kind of crazy about this is not just from long-term player development, but coach.ca, like the coaching of Canada, right? Like if you want to be a coach, you have to go get certified of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's really an interesting point because the PGA of Canada, Golf Canada, and coach, .ca, have all blended together to help us professionals become certified coaches to are able to be like recognized as such. And it's groundbreaking. Now, where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Has the investment in this pathway created more opportunity for elite golfers in Canada to pursue their dreams to play professionally?
Yeah. My thought is it has, because in Canada we've started to do and have been doing a much better job of coach development, And so instead of maybe 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 25 years ago, only having one or two or three hotbeds in Canada, now you can look and you can say, here, there's some great coaches across the entire country who are doing a wicked job because of both long-term athlete development, being aware of that, but also the coach development. We've really spent more time developing our coaches, and we have, like I said, I'm not going to pump your tires anymore, this is the last time, but we've got superstars in areas or in the country, and you're one of them, and you can go from province to province and find a great coach or many great coaches now, whereas before there might be two provinces and have nobody, or just because that is 20 years ago or 25 years ago, but now there's really good people in every area. And so I would say spending money on coach development has allowed more players to get access to good people who are going to help them along. So yes, for sure. And then the long-term athlete development guide for golf in Canada, fortunate enough to be involved in the 2.0 version of that with some really smart people, miles smarter than Derek Ingram, and really proud of that document because it allows somebody to go from entering the game to being world class, or just becoming a golfer at a course who loves the game and is a member and loves to participate. So, a couple cool resources that you touched on there.
Well, the really interesting part here is that I was absolutely floored that it wasn't until three years ago that the PGA of America actually instilled a long-term player development plan, and they basically took ours and just copied it.
They did. They did, honestly.
Exactly. But there's very successful programs in the States. Operation 36. Those guys, well, they were pretty smart. They came up. They picked Glenn Kandari's ear about long-term player development and what that looked like, because they realized that we are such a source. I look at coaching things on one of my favorite websites is Changing the Game Project with John O'Sullivan.
Oh, yeah, great. Good stuff.
Right? And John's an amazing speaker, an amazing person, and a great guy. But he quotes, quotes Esteban Ballier, out in Vancouver, and like they've done the studies of single sourcing and all this stuff, and it's like everything they get is from us Canucks. And it's like, it's so crazy because now, when you look at the amount of Canadians that are not just playing, but winning on women, LPGA,
wow,
PGA tours across the world, right?
Yeah.
We are bringing it. Universities, we are bringing it in a crazy, crazy way. And I'll liken this to basketball. I asked a friend of mine who works for Ontario Basketball, I said to him, dude, is the basketball better than when we played? And he goes, Dougie, I don't know if the basketball is better from a ball sense, but these guys are crazy athletes who have way more opportunity to train earlier in a structure. And that's what I'm bringing it back to. Now you have all these kids in these juniors and the Mackenzie Hughes of the world who have this structure to be able to pursue it.
Yeah, no, for sure, Doug. And I think, again, it's a credit to the guys who are, and the ladies who are going out and getting certified and taking the education. They're motivated to learn and to share. And, I think a lot of junior golfers and amateur golfers are benefiting from having great coaches in their regions. And there's programs like I call them hotbeds, but there's just really good programs across the country that have gotten that knowledge. And Canada has been punching way above its weight class in golf, actually in basketball as well, and in tennis as well. And I'm really proud about that. A lot of experts we have in sports science and coaching who are sharing their knowledge and allowing a small country or a big country with not many people in it to be punching way above their weight class and doing really, really well.
I was on the edge of my seat watching Bianca Andreescu in the U.S. Open. My goodness. just to watch and to think about, like, you're out there for, these guys are out there for 4 hours.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Tennis. And it's not that they're getting at everything. Like, I look at this and I go, my body hurts just watching it. Right? It's this athlete development, and it's what's really cool. And that's going to be my next question was, how much more of an athlete is the golfer now compared to 15 years ago?
Oh, dude, it's not even comparable. It's not even comparable. And when I see players that are entering our amateur team or our junior team right now from back then, it's like, here we have a person who is an absolute athlete who can just jump to the moon, who can run you down from anywhere, to some in some cases, we people who are basically, we consider themselves non-athletes,
Right.
which is crazy. I mean, I'll take a guy on our national amateur team like Noah Steele. I mean, that guy can run from Winnipeg to where's he, Kingston? No, he right now. I mean, it's nuts. And all our guys are like that. They're way more explosive. They love to look good and feel good and work hard. They love to play other sports. If you come to our training, one of our training camps, we had guys playing tennis after, and really good, like a Joy Savoie, and these guys, Chris Oligo on our young pro squad, and Jared Dutois, they're playing tennis and love it, and they're great athletes and they're super good at it. I'm like, wow, that's really impressive. It's exciting.
So you've got parents who are listening, and it's finding that pathway, and they think their kid's good and stuff like this. What are three recommendations from Derek Ingram for a parent to help their child get the most out of golf? They're coming out of grade 7 and 8. They're not bad. Getting into high school. What do you think are the top Derek Ingram's top 3 things the parent could do for their child in this way?
Number 1 is find a really good coach or mentor in your area and work with that player. And work with that coach or mentor. Really, say, listen, I'm all in. I know you're one of the best in our area. It's got to be somebody. It's got to be that person has to have time, and they have to care, and they have to be a leader in their area. So number 1, find a great coach. Number 2 is do not stop playing other sports. Stop doing that. Keep playing other sports, whether it's soccer or hockey or basketball or volleyball, or you're on the baseball team, or you're playing ping pong or lacrosse. I don't care what it is. Keep playing other sports until you have to finally quit, till you're forced at gunpoint to quit. But that's not grade 7. That's not grade 7. It's not grade 8, and it shouldn't be grade 9.
No.
Okay, so that's number 2.
Awesome.
Number 3, so you got a great coach. You're super athletic because you're playing a number of other sports. Number 3, maybe, let's see. Number 3, I think it might be to have a good schedule. And if you have a great coach, hopefully they're going to help you with that schedule. So don't play too much. Don't play too little. Just play the right amount. Train and compete. Train and compete. A lot of times in Canada, Doug, we fall in love with this, it's winter and then it's summer, and boom, we're going to play every single day the entire summer long, and we're not going to train with our coach, and we're not going to play for fun with our buddies. We're just going to compete. So I would say develop a great schedule with a coach. Play the appropriate amount, not too much, not too little, but also have time to play with your buddies and train.
Well, you just touched on, man, this is like flowing like a river. Importance of rest to an elite golfer, whether they're a junior, university student, whatever. I don't think that is something that is paid attention to. Diet, nutrition, okay, but rest. I think I've seen it. I've seen kids, it's like writing an exam every weekend, right? Tournament. And especially when they're in school. I've often said to my kids, every other week, maybe every 2 weeks, pick and choose and find those tournaments that are really good. How important is it to even the better players to really schedule and know their schedule and take that rest?
Yeah, I think you nailed on something that I was touching on with the schedule, but you've done just a nice job of pulling on that thread, in the sense that it's better to be prepared to compete than to just keep playing and hope you have a couple good results. Try and peak and play for those great prepare really well for an event. And then if it went well, make sure you reflect and learn from it. If it didn't go well, make sure you reflect and learn from it.
Yeah, really.
Do it again, and then do it again and repeat the process, as opposed to just, I'm just going to throw a bunch of money at it, playing 10 tournaments and hope I have 1 or 2 good results I can throw on my resume. That's not really development. That's just hoping you have. It's wishful thinking. So, and rest, especially sleep. you know, if you ask back to Corey Connors, I mean, there's a guy, he's in bed at 9 o'clock every single day. If I text him at 9:05, I will not get him. And, you know, these guys are sleeping like Olympic athletes. Are using sleep as a weapon. And I think a lot of kids, juniors, they don't use sleep as a weapon at all. They're using it's actually hurting their game, both in golf, and you know it's hurting them probably at school as well. But no one wants to hear about that crap.
Oh
But
no, well, they don't have school to worry about now, so it's like just keep it certain, right? Exactly. Yeah. Well, it just this is again just leading me into more really cool questions. So the other thing is that I really don't, the things that I think that young aspiring kids who want to play golf don't realize is, one, rest, like you just said.
Yeah.
And then the other one is how important it is to eat on the golf course.
Yeah.
And eat properly. And I remember that, you know, like, I think Glenn Kandari told me one day, he says, like, and we tell them not to eat anything in the halfway house. They have to, you know, so they eat, because nothing in the halfway house is good for you. And it's so true.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you have to, you know, eating balance throughout the day. And it's like trying to, you know, the first time I think I told a parent about, you know, the evils of Gatorade and stuff, and they went, what? I can't drink Gatorade? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And I go into the whole story about, you know, spiking and, you know, and they're like, oh, wow. It's so great. The lack of understanding in that is just unbelievable. But does it even it must get all the way up to, do you have to teach a lot of that when you get into your level?
Yeah, you know, we in some cases we have some players that are very sophisticated, Doug, and other times we get people who are just like, whoa, that's crazy. I've got a good, my favorite Brooke Henderson story is I was coaching our women's side at that point, our junior girls team and our amateur team, and had a thrill. I just had a blast doing that. I did it for about 3.5 years, and then I moved over to the men's team. But the last year, Brooke came on our team, and I took her to a tournament called the Spirit International down in Texas, and she was only 13, I think, at the time. Anyway, at the Spirit International, I had Mackenzie Hughes, Brooke Henderson, Garrett Rankin, I think Taylor Kim was the other one. And so great group, fun tournament at one of the best courses in the world down in I can't remember the name of it, but it'll come to me. Whispering Pines in just outside of Houston. So they had every tournament, every hole, they had a giant cooler at the side of the tee box, like they kind of do now, but they actually had two of them. And one of the coolers was full of soft drinks. And the other one, like Coke, Sprite, Pepsi, you know, any soft drink, Dr. Pepper, and the other cooler was full of water. So I'm observing the tournament. I didn't really know Brooke at the time or her family, getting to know her, and I'm practicing keeping my mouth shut and my ears open and my eyes open and trying to learn. But I'm just like, wow, this girl's really good. I can't believe how good she is. And I knew that. But anyway, I was watching her, and it was about the 12th or 13th hole. She's having an unreal day. But I noticed a trend. Like every time I saw her, she had a Sprite in her hand. And I was like, whoa. And then finally I see her crack drinking it, you know. So anyway, after the round, I'm like, Brooke, you know, I'm just chatting with her, you know, not even a real formal reflection. I'm just trying to have fun. And, you know, hey, Brooke, like, great round out there. And I really love the way you're playing. And I love what you're doing there and stuff like that. And I noticed you had a Sprite on one of the holes, and she's like, yeah, I can't believe they got Sprite on every tee, and they're free, Derek. They're free.
She was having one every hole.
She had, I swear to God, Doug, she had like 6, 7, 8 Sprites a day, cans. And I was thinking to myself, like, I didn't know her. I'm getting to know her. I'm keeping my mouth shut. But I'm thinking to myself, wow, she's unbelievable. And she's had almost a dozen Sprites out there. So I didn't stop her.
Not sound advice that you would recommend to anybody. Oh my gosh.
No, but I didn't stop her, Doug. I just let her keep going. After her, I think she finished first or second.
That's awesome.
And in the airport, on the way home, I said to her, I was like, you know, Brooke, I think, you know, I love your game. You know, I've got a couple things for us, but, you know, I'm going to suggest that, you know, we get our Sprites down to maybe just one in the front nine, one in the back nine. And I said, ultimately, we'd like to take the Sprites out of the game completely. But
totally. That's fantastic. All right. So coming up to my last question, what is it about Canadian Dragons, and how did this come about that the team's nickname are kind of called Dragons?
Well, this was back when I was coaching our women's team again, our junior girls team and our women's team, and you know, I just noticed players would come back from college and have a really nice college golf bag with some cool, you know, like a, I don't know, like a
mascot head cover.
Yeah, mascot head covers, and they had some really neat ones. And I was like, geez, that's really neat. We need something with Golf Canada. We just can't be Team Canada.
Right.
And jokingly, I was throwing some stuff around, but you know, back then, I don't know, is this a goofy one? I thought about dragons, and I was like, oh yeah, we got to be a dragon. Who doesn't want to be like Puff the Magic Dragon?
Puff the Magic Dragon.
Can fly, can breathe
Live
fire. Could be friendly, but could also be very vicious. And
exactly.
So I thought, you know, we're going to be the dragons, and the girls loved it. You know, they really, you work hard. They're long, as you know, Doug.
Yeah.
Super long days. They're long hours. You work your butt off, but you want to have a little fun out there. And so I started calling us dragons. They really enjoyed it. I had a blast with it. I'm kind of goofy. And so it kind of took off. And then the guys got a hold of it. Guys like Mackenzie Hughes and Garrett Rank got a hold of it, and they really took it to another level. All of a sudden, we were dragons, and that's who we were.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I mean, it was like, I was always wanted to know, where did this dragon thing start, and how did it come to be? Because it's like, I see it all on Twitter and all over the place, and you know, it's just now I know. So I mean, this is fantastic. But well, listen, I can't. I mean, like I said, an hour flies by, man. Like these go by really quick. You did awesome, by the way. You answered all these questions. You gave me some great stories. I hope everybody that tuned in really sees the value and just how awesome and humble this man is. One of the best absolute coaches in the world, Olympic, you know, coach, Team Canada, and a dragon by heart. So, exactly. You're not going to fire out of your mouth, right?
Well, we just go like this, pretend. We can't really do it yet. Awesome. We're working on that.
That's great. Anyways, listen, Derek, thank you so very much for coming on tonight. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and everybody else did, listening to you firsthand. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and stay safe, my friend.
Hey, thanks very much for having me, Doug. Yeah, I love what you're doing, and keep up the great work, and it's been a pleasure to be with you guys tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. All the best.
You're a good man. Cheers.
Ciao.